In a million years, I would have thought that they were gonna charge me for Sells' murder. I never talked to no detective, no police officer, no DA, nobody.
Just arrested and then charged.
Arrested and charged, that's it.
So he didn't even get a trial? Is that what they're saying? Because if that's the case, this is genuinely, absolutely terrifying.
Was the first time you saw Kamala Harris in person the day that the verdict was issued?
She showed up at the two most pivotal times in this first trial, and me being convicted and me being sentenced. She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction.
That's what it felt like, a celebration?
A celebration, that's what it felt like.
I believe that. When you see all the clips going off on her online or any of her rallies or anything, she always has that laugh that's kind of like, I'm winning. Or at least like, look at me, everybody.
The reactions I get when I tell people my story is, they say it's the worst nightmare. You know, it's the closest thing to dying.
Jamal, I'm gonna read you a quote real quick. The job of a progressive prosecutor is to look out for those overlooked, to speak up for those whose voices aren't being heard, to see and address the causes of crime, not just their consequences, and to shine a light on the inequality and unfairness that lead to injustice. It is to recognize that not everyone needs punishment, that what many need, quite obviously, is help. Kamala Harris.
I mean, you can say a lot of nice words. The same I can do is like, it's the same as, for example, mentally ill people are not of a sound mind. They need help beyond the normal person. And therefore, we have allowed for this incredibly beautiful institution to take and help them in their daily tasks. And what the institution does is they put them in there and you're not allowed to do anything by yourself, so you just get more mentally sick. But the words sound nice.
Wrote that in her book, The Truths We Hold. Does that sound consistent with the kind of with the brand of justice that you saw administered by offices that she was running?
It definitely sounds like Kamala Harris right now as a senator. But
yes,
at the
100%.
time of her being the head district attorney of San Francisco, that is almost polar opposite of what I felt and what our community felt in San Francisco.
So Jamal, where are we?
Right now we are in Sunnydale Projects, where I was born and raised at. Now, this isn't a place that you'll want to bring outsiders into, and a place that they don't want to go. This ain't a place that feels comfortable. It feels like you might get robbed, you might get shot.
I mean, that's not necessarily a good place to be born in, and I'm assuming that they took his looks into consideration. I'm not saying his black looks, I'm talking about the tattoos and everything.
Police were keeping files on you, and your brothers, and other people who were living in Sunnydale from a very young age.
They are
exactly.
labeled because I'm in this community as a potential gang member, potential killer, potential drug dealer. You gotta wake up to the fact that, you know, things are set up against us.
There is a conspiracy.
Yes.
It happened to you.
Exactly. There
It's
is
proven in court.
Absolutely. Places like this have been developed for predominantly African-American people to not be able to succeed beyond it.
Yeah.
The particulars of it being just for African Americans, I don't necessarily agree with. From what I understand, there's a lot of white trash areas as well. There's a lot of Appalachian areas. There's a lot of places where people aren't educated. I mean, I'm sure there is something about the putting the black community in certain areas, but I think it's more about putting the trouble makers and community in one area so that they can easily police them. That's what I feel it's more like. But if you know anything more, pop it in the comment section below.
What did you know about Kamala Harris? What did you know about San Francisco having a black DA?
Nobody in the hood ever worried or focused on the DA position in general, but people did focus on it just a tad bit, that it was black, and feeling like, okay, this black lady in office, Kamala Harris, she was gonna understand where we come from, you know, and have more of a sympathetic way of prosecuting people that come from our communities who have been plagued.
Sadly, a lot of the times it feels like the people who are considered black have to prove themselves that they aren't in alliance with the others in a sense. And then they put it, in a sense, they put it harder down. And it's like, oh, okay, put it harder down. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, wah, yeah. Ooh, 16 years in prison for thievery of a gum pack.
With no opportunities. This is Hunter's Point, where these different projects and communities used to really war with each other.
Jamal,
So they're not
in
wrong that they
July
were drug dealers
2007,
and
what's going on
gangbangers.
in your life at that point?
I had recently just came off of I Love New York, and also that's when my friend Sel Kuka got killed.
More than a year goes by and no one's been arrested in the case. You hadn't even been questioned.
Haven't even been questioned, no. The police
That is
was
terrifying.
still, trying to get a conviction by all means necessary. When I was arrested for it, the community knew I didn't do it. And it was here we go again. See, this is why we don't trust
police?
law enforcement, because it gets to a point where somebody who didn't do something goes to jail for it. I don't have no history of crime.
It's kind of sad because these stories will make the police less and less trustworthy. And the more you want the police to be the pillar of the community, the more you feel like it's a betrayal. And when they don't even question you, or they don't even go through the proper channels to get to a conviction, and just go you and you guys were the ones that did it, it makes you even more wary. And I think that it's probably a good idea that every single human being gets to learn the basic laws. But I mean, that would be bad for law enforcement, wouldn't it?
What's up, boy? I have a history of being around in the community, but that doesn't mean that I'm a suspect. I'm like, oh man, I'll be out within 72 hours. They're gonna figure this out. They're gonna clear this up.
And then when you found out what the evidence was that they supposedly had you on, there wasn't much there. Can you describe what it was?
They had a woman saying that she seen me kill Sel, the second witness.
So what about when now this innocent man comes out, and this woman who said she saw him kill him, is she gonna get jail time for a falsifying proof, evidence? Is she gonna get jail time for, what's it called, disruption of justice?
Witness that they had really wasn't a witness at all. She said anything that the police officers wanted her to say, and they said that her recollection of the events was extremely credible. So that's what ultimately got the arrest warrant.
The District Attorney of San Francisco, Kamala Harris, appeared in the courtroom during your trial twice.
Yeah, the two times that Kamala Harris showed up to my trial was when I got convicted, and also when they laid down the sentencing.
When you saw her on the day that the verdict was handed down, did you take that as a bad sign?
It felt to me that she was well aware about my case, and she was there to set her presence, almost take pride in.
I genuinely believe this, wholeheartedly believe this, because it seems like she always wants to be there, to be in the limelight. She wants to be in the spotlight. She wants everybody to look at her and tell everybody how amazing Kamala Harris is. I mean, the fact that America has a two-party system is killing them. Because this woman should never be a presidential candidate. And I'm sure there's plenty of great women that could be presidential candidates, but this one is not one of them.
Getting a conviction. When I put in my appeal, the people that's fighting against my appeal to keep the conviction is the Attorney General office. I learned it reading, their reply to my appeal, and you see Kamala Harris' name at the bottom. And now it's starting to feel a little personal,
When you win the $13.1 million, it's a massive settlement.
That's
Did you
nice.
feel like that
That's a
was
good
enough?
settlement.
There's not an amount that could get back those 7 years.
Oh,
was
fuck.
6.5.
He was 7 years in prison. I mean, the 13 million is definitely sure as hell gonna help him. If he does get them paid out, of course, but it's state problems. I think they have to pay him. But I have no idea how it works in America. However, 7 years lost of your life. And I assume a lot of people would say, yeah, I would take 7 years for 13 million. But when you're in there for 7 years, I don't think you would. 7 years taken away. You don't know what happened in prison. You don't know if you come out the same person.
1.5 years that I spent in prison. But instead of me coming home feeling like I was a victim, I wanted to prove that I'm a survivor, and I will not let my story go unheard. You know, I'm not necessarily saying I'm looking for an apology, but some acknowledgement from her that she could have messed up would be, of course, that'd be huge. You could have made some mistakes.
Honestly, he seems like a very reasonable person in this particular aspect. He doesn't necessarily look for an apology, but he wants at least some acknowledgement. Do you guys not think it's a fair point to want some acknowledgement from the person who imprisoned you falsely for 6.5 to 7 years?
You could have missed some things. For me, it was a big miss. You know, I had life in prison. I've met people in prison that was wrongfully convicted. I want my story to be out to provoke reform ultimately. Beyond that, I want to be able to be who I want to be. I'm an actor, you know, I'm a musician, I'm a father. I'm more than this person that was framed. I'm more than this person that was wrongfully convicted.